Good evening, everyone. First of all, we're going to welcome a new board member to our group. Aaron, if you'd like to stand up, please. Aaron Wallace. If you raise your right hand and repeat your pledge.
I, Aaron, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely and without mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties of the office of Board of Education according to law and to the best of my ability. And I do further swear that I do not advocate, nor am I a member of any political party or organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state by force or violence, and that during such time as I am in this position, I will not advocate nor become a member of any political party or organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state by force or violence.
Very good. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Meeting order. Please stand and say pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The formation of public policy is public business conducted in secret. Every meeting of the Norris board shall be open to the public and abide by the Nebraska Open Meetings Act, a copy of which is available for inspection at our meeting site. Does anyone in the audience require audio or visual assistance? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the excused absence for Patty Benziger and Craig Gaina. Patty is attending the board meeting via Zoom. Hello, Patty.
I move to excuse Patty Benziger and Craig Gaina from this meeting.
I second it.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? How do you vote, Aaron? Rhonda?
Yes.
Yes.
I vote yes also. The next item of business is an election of officers. The current listing of our officers is President Patty Benziger, Vice President Jim Devine, Secretary Craig Gaina, Treasurer Jim Craig. So I would first entertain a motion for president.
I'd make a motion to move that Jim Devine be elected as president to serve a term of 1 year or until the person's successor is elected and qualified.
Second. Okay. Further discussions or nominations? Hearing none. How do you vote, Carrie?
Yes.
Rhonda?
Yes.
Aaron? And I vote yes. Thank you very much. I know Patty's done an excellent job and we all appreciated her leadership, and with your help, I hope to be a good leader also. Thank you. The next office is for vice president. And I would move that Gary Kubicek be elected as vice president to the term of 1 year until the person's successor is elected and qualified.
I second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I vote yes. Aaron?
Yes.
Rhonda?
Yes.
Gary? Congratulations. For secretary, Craig Gaina is presently our secretary.
Or treasurer. Is he treasurer?
No,
He's secretary.
He's
Oh, I'm
secretary.
just going down the
He's
list.
secretary.
Yep,
He's
Okay, gotcha.
we might have a different sheet.
That's okay.
I'll move that Craig Gaina is elected. Wait a minute, I got a typo here. Is he
Craig is secretary and Jim
Yeah.
Craig was
Okay.
treasurer.
Okay, so I move that Craig Gaina be elected as secretary to serve a term of 1 year until the person's successor is elected and qualified.
I second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Aaron?
Yes.
Yes. Rhonda?
Yes.
Gary? I vote yes. Motion passes. If treasurer, we need to replace. Then I would move that Rhonda Burback is elected as treasurer to serve a term of 1 year until the person's successor is elected and qualified. Second, okay, further discussion? I vote yes. Mary,
Yes.
Rhonda,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
motion passes. And the next item on the agenda is committee assignments. I think you all have the committee assignments in front of you. Let's just take them one by one. The first one is negotiations bargaining committee, which is presently myself, Jim Devine, Patty Benziger, and Gary Kubicek. I've talked with Rhonda and you would be on that committee, so
That's fine.
do we just go ahead and go through them and then make a
So-
motion at the end, or?
Yeah, we can make a motion for all of them, but if we're changing, did we say that Rhonda was going to be on the negotiations? Okay.
Is that
Okay,
interesting?
I just want to make sure we have that.
So it's Jim, Gary.
Jim, Gary, and Rhonda.
Building and grounds, I think we have a good person there, and Aaron, you'll be willing to serve as a committee as a whole. Transportation, and Craig Gaina, very good fit there. Any discussion? Any of that, there again, as a committee as a whole. And American Civics, have Rhonda Burback, Aaron Wubbles, and Craig Gaina. Okay. Any open discussion about committee assignments or anything like that? So, is there a motion then to? Okay, I move to change the committee member assignments as presented.
I second that.
Second that. Any further discussion? I vote yes.
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 Okay, motion passes. Student representative report. We have once again Garrett Warren. Thank you for being here.
Good evening, everybody.
Evening.
So at the start of our second semester, we got a few things going on here recently. Scholarships for seniors are due. Students across the high school are also working with their teachers, choosing their classes here. Coming up at the end of January, those will be due. What's great is we have a lot of discussion with our teachers and our counselors about options, about the future, where they plan to go, what their interests are. Everybody, kind of has an individualized personal plan, so that helps out a lot. Moving on to sports, we have boys basketball, which has a record of 6-4, and girls basketball with a record of 8-2. Both boys and girls basketball, JV and varsity teams compete against Blair on Friday. Next up, we have wrestling, has a triangular at home tomorrow night, and a JV meet in Schuyler on Friday, and a varsity meet on Schuyler on Saturday. So those will be great. Next big thing is all 3 show choirs have their first competition here in Ralston. So that'll be great, kicking off the new season for that. After that, we have cheerleaders, have 2 competitions coming up this month as they prepare for state cheer in February. After that, we have our speech team goes to Raymond Central this weekend for their next competition. Jazz band will also be performing here fairly soon. And let's see what else. That'll be all. So to close it up, I say we appreciate the continual support from the administration as Norris grows, not just as a school, but as a community. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Karen. Good job. Administrator's report next, or? Move on to administrator's reports. Brenda, can I lead us off?
Yeah, so, a couple things this month we've had, we just got done with a comprehensive, special education monitoring, which means then we turn in, the state contacts us and we turn in 10 files that, students that are verified, and they do a comprehensive evaluation of all of those files and come back and meet with us and tell us what areas that we need to improve. And then there are some areas that it's kind of like whenever you go through an audit, they're going to find something for you to improve on, which is good. So we are in the process of working on and contacting NDE to work on our corrective action plans. And those have to be turned in by February, with them completed by the beginning of the school year. So that is a lot of the areas that we will need to work on is our transition. They changed the transition regulations about a year ago. Before, we had to have transition plans in place for students when they turned 16, like whether post-secondary careers or what they were going to do when they left high school, what that would look like. And now we have to have that done when they're 14. So it requires that they have several assessments completed, inventories, job plans, what classes they're going to take in high school. All of those things have to be done. So that's new for everybody across the state, due to the federal guidelines being changed. We've had several reentry meetings for students that have been either they were not with us due to some behaviors, and so they've come back at the beginning of the year. So we've had lots of reentry meetings and behavior plans. And then we currently have 17 of our students who are being through the ELL process. We have 2 new students. That's not a huge, we've never had a huge number of students in our ELL program. It continues to kind of flex every year, but we do have 17 across the district, 2 new ones since the beginning of November. And right now what we're doing is working with Nicole Bishop as our ELL teacher, and she's works very hard in serving all of our 4 buildings, but it gets to the point where when she's trying to be in all 4 buildings, what's the best way to utilize her time? So is there a better service model that we can kind of look at to help her out and help her be more productive in those areas? We've also had, again, reentry meetings, but we've also had some additional meetings for students that have maybe made choices that provided them opportunities to attend elsewhere, or and anytime that happens, if they have a 504 or an IEP or have issues that consider they may have a disability, then I'm involved in all of those meetings. So we've had quite a bit of those today, or this last couple weeks. And then today we met with our pre-K staff. We are in the process of working with Nebraska Department of Education with them and their curriculum and updating that process. They have a curriculum that also matches assessment. And through that process, like 80% of the districts use the same curriculum across the state for preschool. And ours had just gotten where we just needed to update and revamp and look at that. So those are kind of some of the things we're working on. Any questions?
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Especially those ELL kids, I think that is kind of it is tough when she's spreading out among 4 buildings.
Yeah, and we, like I said, our district is not, we don't have a huge ELL population. Right. I think on the annual report, it's 0.66% of our district. But this year, we have had 1 student move in from Ukraine who speaks Russian. And then we have a student that speaks Mandarin, and then the rest are all Spanish. But that just creates a different opportunity for us. It's not like we're LPS where we have all these languages and we have the people to do that. So the kid from Ukraine has done a great job. It's just a matter of, you gotta learn the English language. Nobody here speaks Russian. So he's from Ukraine, but prefers Russian. And so that was the barrier to begin with, is we were starting to translate everything. And Jason Dahl, helped me out with a lot of that. You can do a lot of that through YouTube. And so we had it done in Ukrainian, and then realized he prefers Russian. So it happens. Any other questions?
Good job. Brittany? your report.
Sorry, I'm trying to do both, so give me a second. Shift the cameras as well. So first thing is, if you have not had an opportunity to hear about last week's state board meeting, there was some big news that came out of that related to assessment. That being that they approved the motion to only require a spring summative NSCAS assessment and then provide math growth to school districts at no cost. So this is a huge win for the school districts right now because there was a lot of frustration around the NSCAS and the having it multiple times throughout the year versus just a one-time assessment. As far as professional development, we had our Welcome Back PD in January where it provided a high-level opportunity where Dr. Moshman overviewed some of the recent climate survey results to the whole staff as a district. And then at the building level, they had some welcome back opportunities as well. And you should have received here on Monday the calendar for the January 16th professional development, which provides a lot of different sessions that staff members get to select and attend what is best meeting their learning needs. So if you can attend any of those, you're welcome to attend. As far as some curriculum updates, I'm just going to kind of run through the groups that are in right now. K-5 ELA, they recently adopted that Wonders resource, and they have seen some great growth from students. Teachers are getting more comfortable with it to the point where in the next week, we're going to actually have some visitors from some other schools come in and observe the resource, just like we did with another school district. So they're feeling comfortable enough to allow that, which is a good sign. 612 social studies, also one semester in, and there's a bigger learning curve for them with the different resource. And so they're just continuing to make adjustments and modify based off of what's the best needs of their kids to meet those needs. 612 ELA, they will be coming to present to the board probably about March. So right now what they are working on is their course progression in the high school. And they have added some new courses. I'm going to try not to steal their thunder, but just so you know, some of those that are being offered to kids for next year is creative writing, research and composition, professional writing, American literature, world literature, and contemporary literature. And those are all junior and senior level courses. So again, they'll come in March. Middle school is currently in the evaluation of the resources stage right now. In the middle school, we offer reading and English courses, and they are two separate courses. And the goal of the curriculum process for the middle school is to create a more integrated approach for those courses so they don't feel so standalone siloed. K-5 social studies, they're going to start picking back up now that the K-5 ELA is kind of settled into a good spot. And so we'll start bringing those teachers back in together to start evaluating some resources. And again, they'll come to you by the end of the year to kind of present what they're looking at. K-12 math is on the schedule for the January 16th Professional Development Day where they have their kickoff meeting. And so we are enlisting the help of Dr. Blosnick, who is an ESU 6 professional developer who also specializes in the area of math. So she's going to help with that process. And during the kickoff meeting, we go over the timeline, roles and responsibilities of committee members, administrators, myself. We talk about norms of collaboration. How do we build consensus? Because in a curriculum process, we do everything in a consensus model versus a voting model. And then begin to dive into the research in the area of mathematics. And then the last one is K-12 counseling. They are going to also start kicking off here this semester in stage 1 to research and analyze. Branching Minds. So if you remember, that is a board-approved purchase for our proposed data warehouse MTSS system. So since that purchase, we've had an implementation team that has went through training and has attended to build their understanding of how the system functions. So we're beginning to utilize that platform to house our data right now, to document interventions, and to look at movement within tiers of our MTSS system. Every building is kind of at different points with that right now, and they're just trying out some different components of it, and really we're going to learn from each other as part of that implementation. And then the last part is the new teacher mentoring program. So all of our new teachers get support through, myself, district administrator, building administrators, but then they also have assigned mentors and our facilitator of the new mentoring program, which is our instructional coach, Mrs. Terry. They meet once a month, and they actually met this afternoon and early this morning. They have an option to pick which time works for them, a morning meeting or an afternoon meeting. And the topics today were focused on building their understanding of the MTSS system and classroom management with the use of technology. So that's what's happening in my world.
Brittany, could you just review MTSS first?
Yep, MTSS is the multi-tiered systems of support. So you think about it as a pyramid. So there's 3 levels. Tier 1, which is what all students get. Tier 2, some students, and then Tier 3 is our most intense. So we have that for academics and we have that for behavior. And so those are some of the things that Dr. Tracy and I lead together as the district MTSS process, where we are bringing in some specialists outside from ESU 6 and then the region, Heidi Farmer and Scott Ekman, they're kind of specialists in those areas to help us build those systems. So we're really working on and focusing on our social emotional triangle right now. So what do we do for all kids to meet their social emotional needs? And then those that need some extra support and more intensive support, what does that look like?
Thank you. Questions for Whitney?
I'd be anxious to hear more about some of those changes with especially the reading and English part of that. That would be really interesting to me.
Yep.
Thank you. Building administrators, let's go first. Step right up.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. Well, happy School Board Appreciation Month.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate everything that you do for our building and for the district. Thank you so much for supporting our students and staff and all the great decisions that you make for us. So thank you. Our enrollment went up. I talked about that in December, that we were anticipating a few more students to be joining our building. And so they came, and we have welcomed them with open arms. Like I said before, we have a few more male students in our building, and they have been great additions. So a few more playmates for our kiddos, and luckily the weather has been cooperating. The recess times have been fun outside, even with the shift today for a little bit more cold weather. So our enrollment now is at 561 preschool through 2nd grade. And we've had a really great start for everybody. So I told the staff on our first day back that January is my favorite first day as opposed to August, because we have about 5 months under our belts. And so the kids are in a different place, we're in a different place, and we just know each other in a very different way. And they're just excited in a very different spot when they come back from break. It's a great first day back. So it's been really fun to come back to everybody, and we haven't really skipped a beat. So, those of us who needed more support still need support, but we know each other better, that we can just hit the ground running. We've been busy reviewing student and academic and behavioral information, as Dr. Hyatt talked about, to make some changes in interventions starting this semester. Whether it's been academic interventions, we have a lot of friendship groups where we work on like problem solving or sharing, anger management tools. So shifting some of those groups, a lot of our students had seen some progress in first semester. So we have some friends shifting out of those pieces, and then updating behavior charts to start the new semester. Report cards will go home tomorrow for our first semester grades. And then our preschool peer determinations will start here after January 15th when that application closes. So myself, Dr. Tracy, and our preschool team will start to look at all of those peer applicants to see who will be the best peer models for our students that are identified through our special education process for ages 3, 4, and 5 that are not kindergarten eligible. To come and join us in preschool for the spots that we have available for our preschool program for 23-24, which is hard to say because we're still not even used to writing 2023 yet. We have our elementary health screenings taking place this month. That's when the Lions Club will come in and help our district nurses with hearing, vision, height and weight of all of our students. And that is a state mandate that we do in all public schools. So parents will be getting some information here shortly about that. And then we're busy preparing to celebrate the 100th day of school on January 25th. Is the date that we decided on between all of our buildings. So maybe a day two or off, but January 25th, so we're 100 days smarter on that day. So a lot of counting activities will be taking place on that day if you'd like to come and see some fun projects as well. And then we are already starting to prepare for our spring parent-teacher conferences in February. Just real happy to have a lot of parents back in the building. We'll have book fair then as well. And a lot of other activities just taking place. Spring's busy, third quarter especially, but a lot of good things. Any questions for me?
I was wondering about how many preschool spots do you have, or do you know yet?
We really don't know yet. We're going to be looking at our returning students first that are verified. So we look at those 3 and 4-year-olds, and then the kiddos that will shift to kindergarten. So we're still looking at all of our numbers first, and then it'll kind of waiting for the final call on how many sections we're going to have for AM and PM. So yeah, just still a lot of things in the works, but we like to have a 50-50 ratio in those classrooms. So it just depends on numbers. Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Jenny.
All right, thank you.
Oh, Chris.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. All right, our enrollment numbers at the intermediate are third grade 203, fourth grade 180, and fifth grade 196. Right before the break, we got to have our caring line assembly because we have the early out, but we still have school that day, so we got to do all the fun stuff to celebrate that first semester together. So we did some singing, celebrating, recognizing our support staff, some friendly competition with our teachers, which the kids always love. And then they did a drumming performance, which the kids also really enjoyed. All 3 grades exceeded their donation goals that they had for food for the food pantry, diapers, and then pajamas for some local agencies. So we celebrated that day together, and it's fun to have the kids come up and talk about that with their peers. For the first time this year, we are doing, or first time ever really, we're doing a readathon. And that's led by Leah Rumsey, our media specialist. And it's just another way to get kids excited about reading, but also some of the proceeds of that will go in conjunction with some PTO money to make sure that all of our kids have a free book at the book fair. And so we're kind of looking for some ways to generate some revenue to make sure that happened. And so far so good. A couple days in, and we have quite a bit of money that's already in there, and it really doesn't officially start till next week. So we're excited about that. The same thing with us, parent-teacher conference preparations coming up. And again, the book fair, Mrs. Rumsey will be preparing for that, 2 nights of parent-teacher conferences, and the kids love that. We have a science fair coming up on February 24th, and so if any of you are interested in stopping by, we will meet on this Monday to talk about the format, how that looks, but typically what we've done in the past is had kids present to their peers in the afternoon so that all of our students can go through the science fair and see what's there. But then in the past, we've also opened that up for another hour after school for families to come in, and so that's kind of what we'll talk about on Monday is with our science fair committee.
What date was that?
February 24th.
Okay.
It'll be a Friday.
Okay.
So once we get that planning in, then we'll kind of know some more details about how that will look. But having that during the day has really increased the numbers of kids that participate because they all get to see what everybody else has done. And it gives them ideas for the next year. So we always look forward to that. It's a busy day, but it's a fun day. And also 100th day of school preparations. And typically we do another donation drive of some sort. For some local agencies, 100 items of either toothbrushes, toothpaste, those kinds of things. And so we'll have that coming up. And then on behalf of the intermediate, we also want to say thank you to all of you for all that you do for us as a school and students and staff. And we appreciate the time and effort that you all put in voluntarily to do all those things for all of us. And I know our staff appreciates that as well. Mrs. Engel, our guidance specialist or guidance counselor, and Ms. Green, our guidance specialist, have the kids make some cards for you. So I'm gonna bring those over. You guys can kind of go through those. I have not looked at them, so you're gonna get them raw. They're good. Thank you. But I hear they're pretty good. So I'm gonna give you those, and then we also have something else for you. So thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Yes, the readathon.
Yes.
First time ever?
First time ever.
So what is the challenge to you? Do you have to kiss a pig or sit on the roof or something like that?
Actually, I don't have to do that. We have some rewards built in for classrooms and students. So Mrs. Ramsey worked with some of our teachers to some classroom competition type of things. So in the past, yes, I have been pied in the face. And all those kinds of things have happened. And I skipped that on. That's okay. That happened. All right, I'm gonna grab those things for you. Any other questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
I think it's my favorite.
Oh,
I think that's an excellent idea, something that really needs to be revisited. But it's this year. This is more.
Oh, new year.
Thank you, Chris. That's really
Yeah,
nice.
thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Just kind of tough act to follow. Okay.
Take a few and pass them out.
Good evening, it's good to see everybody. Our current enrollment in Norris Middle School is 601. We have sixth grade students who are right at 200. Seventh grade, we have 205, and eighth grade, we have 196. And so far, we're having a great start to second semester. Events, on January 4th, we welcomed Dr. Amber Blaznik from ESU 6, and you heard Dr. Hayek reference her earlier as well. She came into the middle school, and the reason for her visit was one of our middle school improvement goals is to work on building instructional strategies for all of our teachers. And we are leaning on ESU 6 for that. We're also leaning on each other and learning from one another and collaborating more and more within our teams, within our content areas, and utilizing staff meetings and PD days to allow folks to present. And based upon the staff survey that was passed out after January 4th, it was well received. So people really enjoyed that opportunity to build their toolbox and collaborate and figure out maybe a new strategy to use for second semester when everybody can use a little boost. So parent-teacher conferences are February 7th and 9th. And we're planning on offering conferences both virtually and in person again in order to accommodate all of our families as best we can. So I appreciate that we're still offering that option. Sports, we have wrestling underway with students practicing before school. So we have some students who are figuring out how to navigate practice, the shower and locker room and breakfast all before they head to class. So we're getting there. We've got a few that are still trying to figure out that schedule. We do have one girl participating in wrestling this year, and she got third at a wrestling meet last weekend. So it's been fun to kind of follow her and learn alongside her, along with the wrestling community in some places as this is new ground. So girls basketball is also underway for both 7th and 8th grade girls. Our first game is kicking off next Thursday, the 19th. Against Elkhorn Valley View. Activities in December in conjunction with our 12 Days of Christmas, both our middle school social committee and our student council collaborated and worked together to support Rough Rescue. And Rough Rescue is a nonprofit volunteer organization who supports fostering and rescuing of dogs. And so we provided the opportunity for students and staff to donate pet items such as food and water bowls, brushes, collars, things like that, gift cards to like PetSmart and Petco. And they also had the chance to make dog toys out of old jeans. And so we had a little craft station on our last day of school, that shortened day. And students, if they wanted to spend part of their day making a toy, they had the chance to do that there. And so Rough Rescue is actually coming to Norris Middle School on Friday morning. And some of our students who are really involved with this will have the chance to present those items to that organization. So January 20th and 27th, our 196 eighth grade students will have the opportunity to visit the high school for our career and technical education day. And so teachers who are CTE teachers will have the chance to talk to eighth grade students and educate them a little bit more about some of the elective opportunities that will be opportunities for them, if not their freshman year, then potentially their sophomore or junior year. Many times I think our eighth grade students don't always know when they look at the title of the class, what does that mean? Or even when you read the description. So coming up and actually seeing the space and getting a better sense of what that looks like and what projects are involved just helps them be better informed and to make some of those decisions for their classes. We will begin scheduling soon. It's scheduling season right now. Yeah. So after our CTE days on the 20th and 27th, then the high school counselors will come down and help our eighth grade students navigate their first high school scheduling experience. And we will do the same then in the middle school for our current 7th and 6th graders. And then we will transition down to the intermediate and help those 5th graders make their first elective choices. So that's always kind of an exciting time. Thank you to the school board. Happy School Board Appreciation Month. And thank you for all of your support on behalf of the middle school students and staff. You always do what's good for kids, and we appreciate that. So, any questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Nate?
Good evening, everybody. So our numbers are kind of interesting from last month to this month. So we are at 754, which is the same number we had last month, but there's been some changes in there. We found a sophomore and lost a senior. I don't know where they went, but we're up and down in those grades. But we're at 221, 181, 181, and 171, 9th through 12th grade. So that's our official number, 754. If you walk through our halls, it's going to feel a little bit less crowded. We had 25 students who met the requirements for graduating at semester. Many of those are either going on to post-secondary right away. Some of them are going into jobs. A couple are going to the military. So they've got plans and everything's figured out. And but they will be coming back for commencement in May. That's one of my non-negotiables with them, is that if they're going to go early, they still have to come back and walk. With the exception of one who won't be able to come back from training from the military. So we had a small celebration for her. With family and sort of classmates in December. Scheduling, as Jamie said, is kicking off actually tomorrow. Parents and students are going to get the emails and scheduling sheets to work on those. We're really excited. We moved it up about 3 weeks in terms of our timeline this year, just so we would have numbers sooner and things as we start looking at planning and staffing and things for next year, just to make sure we're ahead of the game. And one of the big pieces to a lot of that at one of our college and career ready action plans with our school improvement goals related to students developing 4-year plans. And so our counselors went in and met with every single student in the building and helped them create 4-year plans. So by and large, most of their scheduling decisions are already made. So it should be pretty smooth. So any parents in the audience, it should be smooth this year. They should have those decisions already made. And this is the second year now where the students themselves are entering all the requests into PowerSchool directly. So we don't have to do any data entry and things. They get to put them in. There's check marks for parents to sign off on the request. Our IEP teachers check them and our counselors check them. And so we should actually have all of our request numbers in by parent-teacher conferences. Speaking of conferences, we will have those on the 7th and 9th February. Again, like Jamie said, we'll be offering both Zoom and in-person options. On the 9th at 7 p.m., we do have our 8th grade parent meeting. So all the 8th grade parents and the students are invited up, and they'll largely be focused on finalizing their course requests. So they'll come with their Chromebooks so they don't already have them done. And by the time they walk out, they will be signed up for high school classes for next year. Our PDE days, we have 2 of them in January. On the 4th, we focused on some instructional strategies. And I want to shout out to Chase Rasby, who is a new science teacher with us, new to Norris, but not a new science teacher this year, and Mr. Tolero. Who both presented on using structured practice sessions as one of our horizontal elements in our focus on instruction this month. We also talked about PBIS and got our teachers ready for scheduling. And then on Monday, we're going to have district selected sessions. And then after that, the high school staff are doing high school specific selected sessions where they're going to get to hear from their colleagues and learn from each other on a variety of topics. We're also going to be hearing from our MTSS team and kicking off a semester-long wellness competition that Mr. Braun, one of our PE teachers, is putting together for us. So we're excited about that. Jenny mentioned we do have our step-up day for CTE on the 20th and 27th. We're excited to have the 8th graders come up. It's really a great opportunity for them to do some hands-on activities, learn about this skilled technical sciences, career and technical ed, and a lot of the trades type programs that we have available for students. So we're excited for that. I've been updating you throughout the year on our changes to our attendance protocols and how we uphold the attendance policy. And so we, if you recall, if students are chronically absent, they can lose partial credit for a course if their absences are excessive. We do have an appeals process for that. It's actually gone really, really well. We had several families or students. The onus goes on the student to explain why they feel they should be granted an appeal, and it goes through our attendance committee, which is made up of teachers, administrators, and counselors. And it's been really a good process for kids to understand the implications of their attendance on their academics. And the conversations we've been able to have with kids through those appeals process has been really good for our teachers to hear, because they get to hear some of the circumstances that our kids have, but then also an opportunity for kids to take, again, ownership of their attendance. So that's been really, really helpful and really helped reduce our chronic absenteeism. And then last but not least, we're excited for the hires that are listed on your agenda. So Mr. Bohas will be coming back. He is back already for second semester in the strength conditioning program. And then Petra Tabring, who student taught with us last year and then went to LPS for a year and realized that Norris is a great place to be. He's coming back, so we're excited to have her. Again, I'll just echo my colleagues and say we appreciate everything that you guys do for our students and for our community and our staff. Certainly anytime, we'd love to have you come into our building and just see the great things the kids are doing, which is possible because of the work you guys do. So thank you for that. Questions for me?
Your mid-year graduates, the 25, what's the breakdown on where they're going, what they're doing? Just curious.
I'll get that information for you. I don't have it right off the top of my head. I know we've got 2 or 3 that are going into athletics programs at the collegiate level. I know I've got 3 or 4 that are going to be, helping with family businesses and stuff here in the spring before going to college. We've got 2 or 3 that are going into the military, and then others that are like starting at SEC or doing some gen and stuff.
That's good. That's good. They got a plan.
Yeah.
Ambitious. Pretty good.
Thank you.
Did I miss anyone? Okay, good. Now it's time for public comment. Regular board meeting agenda provides for citizens to present information or to express opinions to the board through public comment. Each individual addressing the board will be allowed 5 minutes for a total of 30 minutes for all speakers. The Board of Education has the prerogative to limit speaking to 3 minutes when there are 3 or more patrons, to allow all speakers an opportunity to address the board in a timely manner. Each person who comes forward to speak should state your name, address, and organization you represent, if any. Each person wishing to speak must sign in the sign-in sheet over on that round table. The board will not engage in dialogue with patrons presenting. Please be respectful with your words and delivery during public forum. The board president and superintendent will identify staff to follow up on the information requested from patrons. The board president may share a statement on behalf of the board when addressing a major issue in the district. Is there anyone that would like to address the board during public comment period?
I do. You have 3 that have signed up.
Okay.
So do you want me to make sure to time for 3 minutes or 5?
5 minutes should be fine.
Okay.
Oh, yes, yeah, if I could, point of privilege, could we have esports come forward first, so these kids can go back and get their homework done and things without keep it too late?
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Well, 6 short months ago, I think I was up here by my lonesome, right? And offering what I suppose was a calculated risk. That risk being bringing on an esports team at Norris. And boy, what a ride it's been. And I think for the most part, that calculated risk has now turned into quantified opportunity. And you're looking at opportunity right here. So I've got right here, I've got our state champion Valorant team. Valorant team, raise your hands. And now not all of them could make it, but I'm gonna read off all their names,
Okay.
just they're on the record. So our state champion Valorant team, Olivia Marsh Maddox, Charlie Johnson, Cooper Newman, Caleb May, Kobe Hall, Corbin Prang, who's not here, and Max Brown, who's not here. But they were state champions this year. Something that I don't think a whole lot of first-time esports teams have been able to accomplish. Not only that, we also brought our Rocket League team to the state championship as well, and they were runners-up. They came really close. They lost to Grand Island Northwest in the finals. But they also had a phenomenal season, so I've got a few of those guys here too, Adrian Weaver and Noah Whitwer. And then two that were on the team that aren't here right now, Leighton Lovercheck and Ryder Williams. So what I'd like to give you guys an idea of is just how amazing this has been for the past 4 months. This group of kids, these two teams have worked pretty much daily, a lot of times outside of our practice times, in order to strategize, in order to put the team first, to communicate, and to get the job done. And I couldn't have done any of this without them, and obviously without the help of our coaches. Mark Hausner, who heads up our Valorant team, and he knows what. All right. Well,
You know how to fix it.
and also Colton Grunwald, who is a new teacher this year, who kind of runs our Rocket League team. So those two guys have been pivotal in the success of these two programs. And we just wanted to give these guys an opportunity to stand in front of you and say thank you, because your calculated risk has provided them with some opportunities. They don't know they're getting this right now. They're going to open up and they're going to show you what they got. So, Adrian. No. You can open it. Charlie. Cooper. Kobe. And Leighton's not here. So we talk about opportunity, and I know we mentioned this in the past about the fact that there's real money out there for kids that compete in esports at the high school level. Each one of these students, Noah, what'd you get?
$5,000 scholarship.
Whoa.
Yeah. Scholarship to where?
So as a part of being involved in the state tournament in Hastings at Hastings College, their esports coach offered each one of the kids who participated there a $5,000 scholarship to come to school there. They don't even have to participate in esports, but that's $5,000 a year for 4 years. And if they do compete in esports, obviously there's more money available for them right now. So pretty special. We see that a lot. We see money coming through all the time for kids that are participating in this. And it's kudos for them for working so hard. But we also appreciate the fact that this was a team effort. This was the school board. This was our administration. This was our tech team. This was our support staff, teachers, and building administrators that came together and helped support this program. And that's a beautiful thing. So we thank you guys for that. Everybody, thank you. We just got a short presentation, just some pictures of our state championship and just throughout the year. So while we're showing this, if you have any questions, we're happy to answer those questions.
What's the team's thoughts? What did you think of this whole deal? It's a new thing, a new opportunity, and you've done very well. You worked really hard and you performed very well. I know very little about this, as you do with all the questions I had when this was presented earlier in the year, but what are your thoughts?
I can go first.
Yeah.
I basically, so Charlie over there, she was like, hey, they might be doing an esports club. And I was like, oh, that should be really fun. And I was like, I'm going to play video games at school. But honestly, I didn't realize, like, now I only knew Charlie really and Cooper a bit, but now I can, like, come up to any of these guys, call them my friends, and it's just a really fun experience.
It's good.
Well, that's
Good.
awesome.
Great.
Good.
I didn't really know what was going to happen this year. I had heard about it. I heard that they were playing Valorant, which I played for a few years now, and I was really excited. I didn't really know anyone too well. I didn't know Kobe was in my grade. I heard him for years. You know, I can say that all of these people are my friends, and I'm super proud of the team, and that our first year we won state, and that's something that I can always say now. So
Yeah.
Now you have more competition now again, right? You're training for different
Yes.
segments, avenues?
So these guys competed in our fall season, which was
Right.
Valorant,
Right.
Rocket League, and Smash. And now we're in the winter season, which is Mario Kart and Clash Royale. And so some of these, are any of you guys participating? I don't think any of these guys are participating in that. But we've got 30 other kids. Sorry, we've got Marsh competes. She's a Mario Kart team 1. And then Kobe competes in Clash, or Caleb competes in Clash. So we do have a couple, but in some cases, we have a whole new group of kids that are competing now in the winter. And then some of these guys will come back in the spring for spring competitions, which is a set of different games as well.
Okay,
So,
okay.
Yep.
All right, good. Thank you.
Anybody else have
Thank
something
you.
they'd like to say?
When I first heard about esports or whatever, I heard that there was Valorant, and I know Charlie, I talked to him before, like, we even like joined esports, and I knew he was pretty good. So I came in pretty confident that we were gonna go pretty far and do pretty well. I didn't expect for both the Valorant and the Rocket League team to be very close. Well, us winning state and them coming runner-ups, they did very well. We did very well, and it was all around very fun time. So yeah.
Great job.
Yeah.
Great job.
We're really proud of you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for how you
Great job
represented
for running
Norris.
it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You get to go up after that.
Yeah, Richard?
I'm Richard Norris. I live at 531 Village View in Hickman. And my topic tonight is dash cams. And I know Dr. Joel has been conversing with the transportation director about this. And I wanted to come and give you my 2 cents worth.
Sure.
Wait a minute. It's a nickel now because of inflation. Okay. We make all of our kids responsible on the bus, in the classroom, and at home. I think it's time that we make the drivers of this state responsible too. And the only way we can do this is with a dash cam. It'll be documentation. You want the tablets to help track the kids, know where they're at. So now make another decision to put this dash cam in your budget for next year to make the kids safe on the roads. So please consider it very earnestly. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dick?
Good evening, and thanks for letting me the opportunity to talk. I spoke to Jim already about this. My plan was to come and give you or ask you to help me in the vision of perhaps creating a solar array to reduce the school district's reliance on carbon energy through Norris Public Power. Unfortunately, I got some wind taken out of the sails. In fact, I think I got the sails taken down today, but I will still plant a seed possibly for the district. I currently have a solar array at my house, so a couple months out of the year, we pay about $10 for our electric bill. It doesn't always stay the same when there's a lot of clouds, and that's when we have a lot of clouds, that's not quite so well done. But so Nebraska has what's called net metering. What that has been in the past is, like with my solar array, all my electricity that is generated through the solar cells during the day goes into my electric meter. So if it's like earlier this, in the springtime, in May, I think we actually paid $10 that month. So it's kind of like it just makes your meter run backwards, not literally, but that's in essence what it does. And so Norris Public Power pays us. It fluctuates, I think it's between 3 and 5 cents per kilowatt hour for the power that I generate through our solar array. I just talked to a company called GRNE, and you may know Jesse Baker. I do not, but apparently his kids are here at school, and he is now a co-owner of GRNE, which is the company that I use to install our solar array. They're based out of Illinois, I think their headquarters are in Illinois, but they do Iowa, Illinois, and Nebraska. And I just talked to a guy by the name of Ryan Brungart, who actually he put in my system a couple years ago. He said Norris Public Power now has reduced what they're paying. I think it's only like 1 cent a kilowatt hour. So now I'm gonna have to go to I think to the state of Nebraska and find out what's going on, because to me, we should be creating ways to induce solar energy power. And that's going backwards. So I may visit with Norris Public Power, and also finding out anything at the state level on solar energy is not, I found, an easy task. There's a lot of channels you have to go through, and I'm not privy to a lot of those channels, but I hope to gain some information there the best that I can. So I would just plant a seed out there for you that, because we have tons of land, in my opinion, in the district that we could host a solar array easily. We can't go to zero, because I think I found the average was, thanks to your statistic, I think we averaged 53,000 a month for energy, and you would have to probably build down into Beatrice to pay for everything. But anything that we could do, and that's my return on investment on my array is about 15. I think it's 15 years, maybe 13 to 15 years. But I also got a pretty big kickback from the government. We had a rebate for a few years now. Those rebates are still going on. My wife told me she thought she heard today that there's still some program for businesses, but Norris would not be considered a bid. I think we're a public entity, so I doubt that would be something we could get. And the guy I talked to today said he did not know of any program we currently have. So I'm kind of hoping that they'll still be out there. And I plan on doing a lot of legwork to help, but anything, if you have any suggestions, and well, Jim knows who I am, so you can tell him, he can tell me what that might be. But anything that I think we can do as a district to promote non-carbon electrical generation, I think would be very beneficial for the district, as obviously for our environment. Any questions? Thank you very much, and thanks for all your service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So quick follow-up with Richard.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Hello, Eric Molina, 325 Orchard Place in Hickman. I am recently re-elected to the ESU 6 board, so I wanted to take a moment just to introduce myself. Since Norris is the primary district for my voting constituents, I just am trying to make as many hours available to come sit in on board meetings, because it helps me in my ESU 6 position to hear about your challenges and successes and all those sorts of things. So if you see me quietly in the background, that's what I'm doing around here, is just helping me be better informed so I can do better for my ESU 6 role. Obviously, primary mode of interaction needs, you name it, is Dr. Moshman and Dr. Speretta know each other somehow. Yeah. But if I can be of any help, you name it, I'm always available. Be glad to help with any questions you might have. Congratulations, Greg's not here, obviously, and Patty on their re-election, and Aaron, welcome to the board. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh. Jacob. Jacob?
I'm Jacob Johnson. I'm here for the Norris Skills and Technical Advisory Board. A report of the fall meeting for the board was held on December 7th, 2022. December 2022. You've been provided a copy of the minutes. This report will touch on the specifics. The Norris Skills and Technical Science Advisory Board met at 5:30 p.m. December 7th, 2022 at Norris High School. Several representatives from area businesses were present. Acres Equipment, Housing Construction, General Excavating, Garner Industries, and Jeremiah Incorporated. NSD's administrators and SDS endowment representatives, Norris STS instructors were present as well. Discussion centered around ways local industries can provide support to Norris students in the Skills and Technical Science program. With the addition of Holly Robinson to the STS department, the machine tool program is in swing after a 2-year absence. First semester were 16 students, second semester has 16 students as well. There's great support for this program in the district. The advanced board recommends that some money is budgeted to have the machines checked out mechanically at the end of the school year and maintenance. At this time, district administration is pushing the hiring of a full-time STS teacher for the 2023-2024 school year. The advanced board would like to thank the admin and tech coordinators for the updating of computers in the CAD lab. This lab is in use most of the day. To help management in the classroom, it would be great if games could be locked off the computers. It would also be useful if there was a ban on cell phones in the classroom. Teachers already have enough stress and daily teaching duties. The construction class completed 2 projects in the district this year. Local construction companies were well represented at the advanced board meeting. It has been long established by the STS department that next to ag, construction is a leading industry in the North District. The advanced board recommends that for the 2023-2024 school year that there is a double block of construction classes for first and second semester. The classes should be limited to no more than 10 or less students. More students than that affects the safety of personnel. The construction industry needs young people exposed to different careers available that represent the advanced board meeting. The advanced board meeting provided several ideas on how they can support the program. There are several sections of the wood shop, and numbers in that class should be limited to no more than 15. Square footage per student is well under the minimum recommended. Information on the Norris School District 160 Skilled and Technical Science Endowment was provided in a donation form handed out. As of January 1st, approximately $11,000 is destined for the endowment by individuals and businesses. Our goal is to reach $25,000 before we start using the return. Final goal is $100,000. If we can get 4.5%, that can provide a lot of financial support to the program, for equipment and scholarships for students entering post-secondary education or apprenticeships. The STS department did bring up the need to purchase new mobile robots for the department. The robots are being looked at are called VEX robots. This type of robot is used in competitions at state and national level. The robots can be used in the automation class, and hopefully an after-school robotics club could be started. The STS department will be writing a Norris Foundation seed grant to help pay for the cost. To acquire a bundle, which would provide 5 robots and up to 10 students, would cost $8,000. The STS department has 2 VEX robots currently. It would be great if the district could contribute to this investment. Nebraska's Innovation Campus just received a $25 million grant. Dan Hoffman, CEO of Invest Nebraska, says, quote, "The money will jumpstart the creation of robotics and automation initiative, which is desperately needed in Nebraska," end quote. It will be to the advantage of the students of the Norris district to take advantage of this opportunity so close at home. It is important that school districts invest in robots. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, that's all? Okay. And moving on then, there's no curriculum report this month. Okay. Superintendent's report?
All right, headed over to the dates for upcoming dates. We have staff development on the 16th, gonna have breakout sessions. Board, you're invited to hang out with the staff. You might learn something in the breakout sessions. You never know. Legislative Issues Conference is Sunday, the 22nd and Monday, the 23rd. Gary and I are going to go to the Sunday evening session, and then Derek and Rhonda and Gary are going to go to the one on Monday. Aaron, if you'd like to go to the one on Sunday night, we can do that too if you like. 23rd through the 27th, EMC Girls and Boys Basketball Tournament. February 3rd, Ron Severson Wrestling Tournament. As I think all the principals said, parent teacher conference is on the 7th and the 9th, and the board meeting is going to be on the 8th, if that works for everybody. And what would you think if we changed times from 7 to 6? What's your thoughts on just talking about, instead of starting at 7 o'clock, would a 6 o'clock, is that too early for some people?
It's okay.
Would you like to try it?
I have to get off work a little earlier.
Yeah, I would hope the board would let you off.
Talk to the boss.
Okay, so let's try, February 8th at 6 o'clock. I'll send out invites and we'll change it for the meeting on our minutes too, okay? All right, thank you. We did have a great welcome back for teachers on January 4th. I think, it was good to get the kids and the teachers back. I do like the second semester because like Dr. Feeney said, we have one semester under our belt. We're coming back. Sometimes when you're there in August, you're like herding cats because freshmen don't know where they're going in the hallways. Kindergartners are still missing their family. When you get back for January, I think some kids are ready to get away from their parents and they're ready to come back and get back into the swing of things with school. So it was great. Congratulations for the girls winning the holiday tournament, boys runner up. And then like we had esports come in and talk about the successes there.
That's really great.
Personnel updates.
Yep, so you'll see the list. I know Nate touched on the new hires. Nate is also with his team working on instrumental music. That is a position that has now closed and will be moving forward with the timeline for communication and interviews. So those are the two new hires. Bo Hess started second semester, which is a semester early from what we were expecting. Tom Allen entered retirement early, and we also just received a word from Steve Halverson that he will be retiring at the end of the school year. So 'tis the season for movement, retirements, and so I would expect our personnel report to be busy for the next couple of months with both resignations and hirings.
School board member week. So here's what I'll tell you. I think all of the buildings, they kind of capped it off. We do have some cookies in there that we can bring out after the meeting, but the school board is something that, I mean, you guys get paid quite a bit to do what you're doing, and we're gonna double your pay for next year. But the roles that the school board plays for schools across the nation, it's vital for where our kids are going and setting them up for a great future. You guys do a lot of work on our policies, making sure that we're covered. What this school board did last week, we had a work session, and we'll talk about that later on in the meeting, but it's something where we're building the foundation for what we want our kids to, the vision of we see the kids going. And I'm very happy that I have the board that we have, that we can walk through. Sometimes we're walking through the storm, but sometimes we're walking through the sunshine, but we're doing it together. So thank you guys for what you do for the Norris School District.
Comments? Well, I guess just a comment to that. It's, something we all in our hearts committed to because we believe in public schools in general and this school in particular. And it sure makes it easy when you get to see the quality of the kids that we have here. And we say over and over again, it's what's good for the kid, what's good for the kids. But I can tell you also that working and meeting and seeing the accomplishments of the teachers and the administrators makes you want to, work even harder and being motivated by surrounding yourself with such great talent. It makes it a pleasure being on this board, I can tell you that.
It's an honor.
Yes, it is. Okay, we move on to the consent agenda. These are items that are considered routine and will be passed without vote by unanimous consent. However, any board member can ask to remove an item from the consent list for separate action. Normally included in the consent items are agenda minutes, approval of the claims, financial reports, and any personnel matters or other reports identified in the superintendent's report. The order of the agenda items may be rearranged according to the board's preference. Are there any bills that we would like to see removed? Yes, I think there would be. Hearing none, we will unanimously approve the consent agenda. Okay. School calendars.
So this year we did something a little different. We looked at the next 2 years because with most schools in the state, they go off the NSAA calendar. And so this coming year, 23-24, it's still at an early start date. 24-25, that's when it rotates back around to mid-August start date. So what we did is we worked through it as an admin team. We also worked with it with the staff. We sent it out to all staff to get their ideas on what they like. A lot of conversation came back that we want snow days. We want built-in snow days, so if we don't use them, that brings the dates down. If you don't build them in, it feels like you're being punished because you're prolonging the year, which was easy to do. So we have 2 calendars here with all the additional dates. We put in 2 snow dates for the 2023-24 school year, 3 for the next year. And Brittany, Derek, or Brenda, do you guys have anything else you want to add to the calendar talk?
I think part of the conversation around going for 2 school years and not just the 1 is, for the longest time, it feels like now, but it's only been a few years, that school start date had been creeping closer and closer to the start of August. And so this really does show that we have 1 more year where school starts early August, and then we cycle back to more of the middle August, which feels more normal, I think, for most families. So this helps with communication and planning. I think the sooner we can get this out to families, then, they appreciate the heads up, and as they have crazy schedules and calendars to sync with this. So that was kind of the thought process between the 2 years instead of just 1.
Any questions?
It's always a difficult thing for me because I don't totally understand, what goes into this as far as discussion of changing dates, moving dates. Is there anything on this that we should be concerned about or address? Or, I didn't see anything, but that's.
No, I think the biggest issue we had is when we have our upcoming leap year, it really comes down to balancing semesters, especially from a secondary lens. You want to try to get to equal days first semester to equal days second semester. And for the next school year, it became really, really difficult because it's a leap year, and when you roll the calendar over, it was difficult. So we know that we didn't, unless we were willing to take first semester and roll it into January, which didn't feel right. We just know that we have unbalanced days for at least 1 of the years, and then it goes back to aligning nicely for the 24-25.
Well, that makes sense. And you go into 2 years makes sense to me. It does, to look that far ahead. It's good because it's reality. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's a 7-year cycle, and if you're here for as many years as I was, you figure that out soon enough.
Yep.
Then you can anticipate it, but the first time around, it's like, oh yeah, I get it now.
The other thing that you really focus on is 187-day contract for teachers.
Right.
And it's the balance, but also when we put in those additional days for PD day and teacher work time, we want to balance in between and key points of school parent-teacher conferences before when they come back in January. You want to have those times where they're billing for those teachers and teacher work time.
And I don't think we ever want to go back to a point where we have to go over break and then have semester tests in January.
Correct.
And one of the things that was new to me that I just discovered this year is sometimes online textbooks go dark during break. And so kids don't have access to them anyway.
Yeah.
So that would be disastrous.
Yeah, and I think too, just as the state has made changes, you know, it's no longer about days in session. The days are for the teacher contract, but we have to meet, I believe it's 1,080 hours for our secondary students. And so we use that as the standard. And so this builds in more than the 1080. But this meets kind of all those check boxes that we have to have for the accreditation purposes. All of that.
The other great thing is we have a lot of eyes on this. So it's hats off to admin, staff, of looking through here, questioning why are we doing it this way? And so it's been gone over quite a few times.
Right. And I think it's really important to have teacher input on that.
Yeah.
Very good.
So we need
A motion?
Yep.
I make a motion, we approve the calendars for, do we go ahead and approve both of them for both
Yep.
years? For the 23-24 and 24-25, right?
Second.
Second, further discussion? Gary, have you vote?
Yes.
Rhonda?
Yes.
Fred? I vote yes. Motion passes. Outdoor LED lighting program?
Absolutely. It is come full circle from the budgeting phase to research phase to now seeking board approval. We had two quotes, one from Boss Lighting and one from IC Energy Solutions, who is a local company that services the Midwest but is out of Waverly. And a lot of conversation went into the selection that I shared with the Board of Education this fall. Tonight, I'm recommending the board approve the IC Energy Solutions quote for $65,825. Now, what is all in that is the 93, 94 light fixtures that we have on campus that are on our poles in our parking lots, and this includes the walkway going from the elementary all the way up to the intermediate school. If you've been up there, we actually have the company install a light to kind of show what is it going to look like and show some of the functions of that. So we're getting the light fixtures and we're getting the controls with the lights. That actually, the controls came down to a deciding factor. The controls through IC Energy Solutions is really managed and ran by a cell phone and an app, and is all Bluetooth mesh versus the other one that we were looking at. It was not, I think the word was not up to kind of today's standards in regards to that technology. So a big shout out to our technology team who got involved at the end as we were not only pricing out, but we were looking at all the features of light. So a lot went into it. A lot of people had conversation, and we feel confident in the IC Energy Solutions product, controls. It also comes with a 10-year warranty. And the other quote we had was only a 5-year warranty. So just knowing our lights are outside, wind, rain, sun, cold, it's a fantastic warranty, actually leading the industry with 10 years. So we feel good about the quote that we have in front of you tonight.
I do have a question concerning that. In your recommended motion, you recommend that we approve $68,825 instead of 60. Is that a typing error, or?
Yeah, let me double check.
Or is there additional expense there?
It's $65,825.
Okay, so, all right. So with that in mind, then I would move to approve the IC Energy Solutions bid to replace parking lot pole lights for $65,825.
I second that.
And this is money that comes out of our QC funds.
Yes.
Right.
And for discussion, then, did we have an estimate on energy savings?
Yeah, so the energy savings, we will calculate. So the hard thing with this is we currently have LED light fixtures. They've just never worked to what was purchased 10 years ago. So the energy savings isn't moving from an LED fixture or from a non-LED fixture to an LED fixture. The cost savings is going to be with the auto dimmers that we have. And so when you drive by the parking lot at night, you'll see the lights are gonna bump down to 25%. They're gonna have motion sensors and they're gonna be zoned. So when someone drives into our parking lot, a zone's gonna kick on to 100 instantaneously. So there will be cost savings, but it's really difficult because it's really coming from the functionality of the light and not the light itself, since we already have LEDs.
What is the projected completion date?
This spring.
This spring?
Yep,
sometime?
so
Okay.
I will make contact with both companies. We'll get the order in, and then we have a local electrician who will do the install for us.
Great.
Is there any value in the existing ones?
So we asked that question, and the long answer is no, but the short answer is yes. If we have a place, if we have a place to house them and selling them individually, both companies didn't feel like somebody would come in and scoop up the 90+ ones, and plus some don't work. Some work during the day, some don't work at night. And so it's just, it might be easier just to discard, but there is a chance we could surplus some of them if, when they come down, they're in good shape and all of that.
The issue with, they're different from the high school to the intermediate. Intermediate's on a radio frequency, which is based out of the building. And so there's always a architect and an installer issue of butting heads of, well, it wasn't designed right, well, it wasn't installed right. And so what we have in the intermediate is where the teachers park in the morning, basically those lights are off, but for some reason they turn on during the day. And we've talked about trying to hardwire them each pole, but we're finding out that if we do that, it's more cost beneficial to just go with these. And so when you look at the difference in lighting, the lighting over here, middle school, and probably at the elementary is a different setup than the lighting in the intermediate.
Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. A vote, Aaron? Yes. Brenda?
Yes.
Gary, and I vote yes. Passes.
Could we move to action plan 3.7 at Jason Gold? Present?
Yes.
That's down on
15.
Okay. We're gonna move our agenda items around. Action plan 3.7.
So this action plan was based on looking at our website design. We have to upgrade. We had our committee come in, we discussed it. We also had some committee members that could not make it, but they had the Google Sheet, put down some information. What we'd like to do, Mr. Gold, he has the information on the RFP that has the main focus of what the tech people, because they understand it, are looking at for the guts of the website, but it also has a lot to do with what the staff, some of the community members, teachers, admin, we're looking when we want to upgrade the website. So Mr. Galt, would you like to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Initially, we found out that creating an RFP for a website is pretty difficult to do, because obviously everybody's got an opinion of what's a good website and what do we need on a website. And school websites definitely have changed over the years. And certainly it's still an important aspect of the communication that we provide to our constituents. But there's some things now that are kind of, we got to have this. And then there's some things that kind of fall on the side of, yeah, it's kind of cool to have that, but we really need it. So those conversations have happened through the 3.7 Action Plan Committee. And then the RFP has actually been put together. Norris can the tech team, the administration, and those committee members helped to form this RFP that will be going public, obviously, after tonight maybe. And what we're looking at, the must-haves, and I don't know how much of this they have, the official document.
They, Brenda, you can pull up the document. Yep, we have it up there. Good deal.
And what we really did was we focused on kind of like, okay, so if you're interested in contracting with us for the web design and hosting, there's some things that we must have. The first thing we must have is an updated version of what's called Drupal. Now, Drupal is the back-end software that runs the website that allows you to be what's called a WYSIWYG editor. What you see is what you get. That's the stuff on the back end that people like Drew organize and update. We are running version 6 with our website right now. The updated version of Drupal is 9. So one of our must-haves is obviously the fact that we need to have Drupal version 9, at least for our backbone for our new website. Along those same lines, we'd like it to look a little bit different. It needs a refresh. It's been 8 to 10 years since we've actually had a different looking website. So now's the time to do it. It's a perfect opportunity as we're talking about these must-haves and these things that we would like to have moving forward. So we have a little bit of hopefully a design install on that website. We also need to have developers on hand. So any of the companies that we contract with, we would hope they would have at least 3 developers. So that's one thing we want. And that gives us the ability to have customizations. And that's something we've been happy with one of our previous vendor that we actually go through right now, that they have developers that we can contact and contract through. So.
And if we have a company that doesn't have 3 developers, maybe they have 1 or 2, and maybe those 1 or 2 just decide to go somewhere else, we have nowhere to go to. And so we'd like a company that has at least 3 or more. So if somebody walks away from that company, we have somebody else to go to.
Yeah. Another big issue is ADA compliance. And so that's a requirement that our website is fully ADA compliant. And that we have the ability to reach out to obviously everyone for things like No School Today, whether that's a pop-up or an instant banner, a notification, and then obviously to have an app that works along with it. But there's a list, single sign-on for Google. We're a Google reference district, so Google is integrated into everything we do, and so obviously having single sign-on with Google for staff to be able to log into the website to update things is going to be a critical element of the RFP. And then social media integration is another important thing that definitely wasn't 10 years ago, and it certainly has become this, in the last 5 or 6 years, really important. So all those things came into play, and obviously they came into play from different perspectives. It would be a serious mistake to put 3 tech guys involved in what we think is important in a website. So we like to involve everybody in that communication, and so I think we came up with a pretty structured, but also an RFP that's open for opportunity, open for adjustment, things of that nature.
So the steps that if the board wants us to go forward, what we would do is we would publish it, and then we would talk to the committee, and we'd also send it out to companies that we know do this. And so we'd have a number of companies, and if we had people from the committee say, hey, I have some other people, we'd send that out. Then on the RFP, there is a date they have to have it submitted. We go over it, talk to the committee, come up with a rubric of what we're looking for, what the companies offer. And then once we come down to, this is the one because it fits what we're looking for, we'd bring it to the board saying, this is it, this is the reason why, and make sure that we're always going through the committee that we have, the communication. And the other part is if you think about what our website looked like 8 or 10 years ago and what we know about technology now, there's a heck of a lot of changes that have been going on. And I don't remember who it was, but we also talked about the different languages. We're going to have to really start focusing on that everything's just not English anymore. And that's another step that we need to have ready to go in our website. So good job. Thank you.
No, Appreciate it. Any other questions from you guys?
Well, the big challenge is gonna be the development of it.
Yeah,
I mean, the RFP makes sense. I mean, I'm not sure you've included everything you need, and, yeah, thank you for the comment about there's still some flexibility there on the needs and adjustments, but, I mean, that makes total sense on the process you're going through, but that development that's difficult. I've been through a number of those, and, it's
yeah,
a
if you think
long.
about timelines too, Gary, we're looking, probably a decision made in February, and then we'd like to go live with new June 1st. So
Oh, boy.
you're
Well,
looking
that's
at,
aggressive.
you're looking at somebody that's gonna be working pretty hard on that, so.
Yeah, would be.
Yeah.
It would be.
But that's business nowadays.
Do you have companies, then you've got a list of companies that you expect to be interested in bidding on this?
Yeah.
Correct, okay.
We've done just some preliminary research. Obviously, the company that's our ISP right now, or not our ISP, but our web host right now, would be one that would be in the ballgame, unanimous. And then there's 2 additional ones that have also reached out to us just for preliminary. What are you looking at? Can this be done? Is this even in their ballpark? So there's lots of services out there, and
Right,
companies that are able to do it. So I'd expect we'll gain quite a bit of interest.
Have you, oh, excuse
Go
me.
ahead.
Have you looked at any other schools' websites that you look and say, this is what we want?
Yeah, we've looked at a ton of them.
Right.
We've also looked at ones that we say, this is what we don't want.
Right, sure.
They're
Did you
actually,
find one that was just exactly what you wanted?
there used to be a website, literally, it was called School Websites That Suck. And you could look at those. Somebody created it, and it was a directory of school websites that were poorly done.
Yeah.
And it was along the same lines of, okay, what best practices, what do you need? So it was just a good opportunity to see what we wanted to avoid and wanted to garner, in terms of, but there are some really, really good websites out there. I think our website, in comparison to some other schools I've been at, when I got here, our website really impressed me, and it's way different than what it looked like 10 years ago. Andrew and the tech team and everybody involved in updating it's done a phenomenal job of making it current and adding, along with, when we've got developers on the phone, they're able to, update things that we wouldn't have been able to do in the past. So, but it's time for a refresh.
And I don't think we can go to one specific website and say, that's it, because there's so many differences from just our district and what people are used to and what we have compared to the other.
Yeah.
It'll be a fun process.
Yeah. That is going to be fast, though.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. So what we'll be talking about tonight is just deciding whether we want to approve the RFP development of the website.
I would move that we approve the development of an RFP for our new website and put it out for bids.
I second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? How do you vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I vote yes.
Thank you.
Some part of the expense.
Yeah. Easy to say RFP.
Before we get back.
Right.
Okay, go back to policies.
Yep. Okay, so going back to conversation that we had actually at our board workshop. If you remember, we talked about participation by citizens, 9369. That conversation was, we already have rules and regulations for public comment. Do we need that policy? And Justin Knight reviewed the policy, said no. However, you need to now look at a new policy, which is 8345, which is public comment. So really what we're doing is we're doing away with the lengthy participation by citizens, 9369, and we're going to insert 8345, which is public comment. That's attached for your review. 2 other policies that I know we briefly discussed is 5003, student enrollment, residents of the district. We had talked about, as a district, we've grown large enough that it's important as part of the registration process that our students coming in, families provide proof of residence, that it does fall within our school district. If not, we'll work with those families to go through the option enrollment process. 5006 option enrollment, really what was updated on that was the appendix on page 7. We went through and we developed what we feel are capacities per grade level. And that really helps, again, with growth, that as students are coming in for option enrollment, if we are busting at the seams in specific grade levels, especially at the intermediate school where we really have no classroom space left, that we go right to that policy. We look if there's room within each grade level, and that can also be a factor of denying option enrollment based on capacity within a grade level. And you'll see that on this document, our capacity for special education services is full. So students that are requesting option enrollment that need additional services in the form of special education, we are at capacity with our staffing and our supports that we have in place. So that was the addition to that policy. So those are first readings for those new policies. Under review, I did put the table of contents just to show the updates that were made after we have a second reading for our new policies. And then 8106, which is power and duties of the Board of Education. January is a great month to review that policy as we are starting a new year, and we have added a new board member with Mr. Wobbles.
And so when Aaron and I went to the new board member training in La Vista, this is one of the policies they said we should review every year in January, because it just kind of goes over the duties and the powers that the board has. So as you're reading through it, take a look at this policy, and it basically it says that boards have 3 duties: legislative duty, executive duty, and evaluative duty. That's my evaluation of superintendent. And as you read through this policy, it kind of makes it clear the empowerment that the board has for the school district. And so just take time to review it. And what I'd like to do is take the time to review it, and let's bring it back up for next month for discussion, because then we'll have Craig here, and I hope Patty will be here, and we can kind of go through to make sure that everybody's on the same page with the empowerment of the board. Sound good?
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Thank you.
So no action is needed tonight. These are just first readings. So similar to with the 8106, review those policies. Reach out to me if you have any questions, comments, concerns.
Oh, I just had a question about the table of contents. Is there, maybe on the new website, that would be the case, if those could be hot links, so you can just go right to them.
So from our last conversation, we have added searchability, but ease to find policy on that new website. So we don't even exactly know what that looks like right now, but I think that will be a big thing for us with that new website, is having that policy easy to find and not buried. And maybe not even necessarily through Google like we have. We may have a better avenue. Still waiting to hear back from NASB on that Spark and WordPress and services that they have.
Okay, very good. Move on to the annual report.
The annual report, this is something we do annually. And Brittany and Derek have really worked to get the numbers, and Brittany has the eye for color, for pop. I do not. I can't see color. But Brenda, could you pull up the annual report?
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's pretty. ESU does all the graphic design for us. So, yeah, so it highlights, now, I guess to back up, one of the things about the annual report is it's from the 21-22 school year. It's highlighting a year behind where we're at right now. And so it just gives the data component of it, overviews, all the information that would make somebody look at our district and gather a full perspective of what we are, who we're about, and how we perform. So there's both academic and activities highlights in there as well, along with financial data, state aid, And then obviously the short cycle improvement plan that we're working towards in all of those strategy areas that we're looking at. So this will be printed in hard copy so that we can use it for new hires or people that we interview to share that way, just guests, you guys. It'll be housed on our website as well. So that's kind of a little bit of overview about it.
Goes through staff and student data. We have our athletics activities, we have enrollment, and then at the very end, we have our finances.
I thought it was really well done, and it's really impressive.
It looks very nice.
District does.
I did have,
Very nice.
I did have
Did a
one
good job.
question about the small class sizes. It only goes to 5th grade to show that. And I was wondering, I think some people might have questions about that, 6 through 12. I'm just guessing you might have some questions.
I think that's one of the things that we can try to work to getting information in there. I think it's just, as you know, it's harder because we have core areas, elect
Right.
areas. Just like you heard tonight, we have some caps and some classes that we have to keep for safety measures and for equipment and just supplies and things like that. That does skew numbers. So
Right.
maybe that's a good challenge for us to figure out what's the best way to represent that.
Or maybe to
Accurately.
8th grade, because high school is pretty hard to do.
Or maybe you could say the class sizes in core classes.
Right.
So what's the average core class size in the
Yeah.
high school, middle school?
Right.
Instead of, because choir, you could have
Instead of all of them.
120.
Exactly.
PE classes can get big.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good idea,
That's
maybe
a
it's
good
core
point.
classes.
Yeah, just maybe.
But elementary is definitely different than 6 through 12.
Has it been hairbrush?
That's what is it, my glamorous.
Did you have a fan blowing in your
Yes, I have. All right, enough.
I did find a photo of Dr. Moshman on Google Drive from a few years ago, and he would not let us use that picture.
Time kind of takes a toll on it.
Tell me about it.
But I think it's also a good way for us to reflect and kind of establish our new baseline is, okay, doing a great job. There's always room for improvement. How can we identify the areas and be able to then gathering data, looking ahead and saying, okay, what's it going to take to move us to that next level?
It's such a great summary, really.
Yeah. Very well done. Do we need any?
No action needed on that. That was just the presentation of the annual report.
Very good. Superintendent evaluation. Thank you, everyone, for getting those evaluations sent in. Dr. Moshner and I sat down and discussed the evaluation, and as expected, they were nothing but high remarks on it. As a matter of fact, it was so met expectation that we discussed about maybe trying to develop that evaluation a little more. So not only could we identify the areas that very outstanding and not just met the expectation, but then it would allow some feedback to say, okay, here's something to consider, or we could do something a little bit more involved than just simply being able to put met expectation. I don't know where that survey review came up.
I want to say that's what we used last year.
Yeah,
Dr.
you used it
Schwartz.
a few years, yeah.
And the thing that I like is where I can get feedback and I know what I can grow and work towards. And that's what I'm looking for. I want to know areas where you see, do I need to have more communication or more visibility? And it's more of a discussion and conversation of areas of growth. And I believe it makes me a better person and a better leader if I can take that information and work on it.
Marcia Herring would have some great ideas. I went to a session last year about evaluation, and she would have a ton of ideas to get a better tool.
Okay, good.
And she shared a little bit about that at the workshop.
Yeah.
They have a number of options
Yes.
for boards.
She said.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, I'm just gonna kind of sit down, we'll kind of evaluate that and then maybe bring something to the board for, we got a year to plan for it. But great job. What you're doing. Okay, about legislative updates?
Let me quick save next. Okay, just under that rationale, we are now getting in the season for legislative updates, as Dr. Moshman shared. We will be attending the legislative conference, which will be full of great information for the upcoming legislative session. But going back to prior conversations under rationale, January 4th was day one. They have until day 10 to introduce bills. I went through this afternoon and counted how many have already been introduced, and it was 350. So that number is going to continue to grow, but in there, I thought it was important to note that Senator Walz is no longer the chair of the Education Committee, but now it's Senator Dave Merman, and then in there, you'll see those are the members of the Education Committee for the 108th legislature. And then the next big kind of piece of information is Governor Pillen has now been sworn in as governor, and his state of the state address is on January 15th. So I would expect we're going to hear more about school funding, because that has been something he's been very vocal about in the early runnings. And I know he had a committee assembled of educators across the state to kind of help advise and give feedback, and I heard that that went really, really well, and I think we'll learn more about what those conversations were as the year continues.
The main focus, his main focus is the money should follow the child. And before he got elected, he was talking, and he did not know, but he said $3,500 a kid. And so after they kind of worked through the process, worked with the committee, right now the number is about $1,500. And
I
at
mean,
per
at current state aid.
$1,500 per child
per
as they're
student.
talking right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Some of the things that are kind of a gray area, this would allow people that are kids that are in private schools, they would also get the $1,500. If those kids need any additional support, such as special education, speech, and the private school would not be able to take care of those services go back to the public school. And that's where the gray area is. If the kid's in private school, but they're receiving services in public school, how do those funds follow? What happens with them? And they haven't come up with that yet. The other thing is they're talking about this $1,500 per child. It's not to say, okay, now state aid's gone. Because what they're saying is, this is in addition to. And so my question was, is it sustainable? I know we have over $2 billion in the rainy day fund, but if you're looking at $1,500 per child with all the children in Nebraska, how long can we sustain this and not drain the rainy day fund? And then what happens when we can't sustain it anymore? Where does the funding go? So there's still some questions. They're still working on it, but that's kind of a little bit of what has been going on.
And of those 300 some bills, how many of those bills are requesting money from that rainy day fund?
Correct.
What percentage? A lot.
A lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to Dr. Moshman's point on that $1,500, that foundational aid per kid, we ran the math. So let's say that $1,500 replaced TIOSA, and all it was the foundation aid, and Norris received $1,500 a kid and no other state aid. We would lose right at $1 million from what we're currently getting in state aid. So I think it's important that as these conversations continue, that we don't go just to a foundation aid model because, we've never fully funded TIOSA as it is. And we would hate to see dollars leave the system that have already been earmarked. So it'll be really interesting to hear all sides of the foundation aid and what is the dollar amount per student.
Well, and on that too, when he talks about it, going back to the public school, any student that's verified for special education, ultimately the district of residence of where they reside is responsible for those special education services. So if we have students that go to Lincoln Christian, like any private school, but they reside in our district, we are ultimately responsible for those special education services. So if the dollar follows the child, then, and they need those special education services. That's what he was kind of referring to, as it goes back to the public school where that child resides.
Really nice for the private schools.
We can get to it,
The rationale piece.
the detail.
Oh, I can copy and paste that and put that in the discussion.
Not right now, just later.
No, I can do it right now. It'll go in the minutes. You're very welcome.
Well, we'll keep your fingers crossed and hope for the best. It's early.
It's
Yeah.
early and I haven't seen a year yet where when the season starts, it feels like it's gonna be a monsoon with hail and wind. And by the end of all the bills coming out, it's like a light rain. So there's a lot of things that are taken off the plate. They're not as bitey or as hard on not only schools, but all the other areas and we're able to maintain. And I'm hoping that's how it is, because there's a lot of things in there that could upset the apple cart.
Okay, any other questions? Legislation?
I had lots of questions, but
Yeah.
that's later.
We can answer in this meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that report. Any SB updates? We had our new board member workshop. Thank you for going to that, Aaron. We had a great board leadership workshop here the other night. And I thought we got a lot of good information, and that's such a great thing to kind of review on a periodic basis and just kind of keep us updated. What we do here as a board and how we do it, and how do we make sure that we're doing it properly and we're moving forward with statute and policies and everything that's required of us. Any comments or?
It was good. I really enjoyed that, and it was a really good review.
Mhm. Yeah, that was very worthwhile. I think doing that every few years would be a good
Yeah.
idea. Okay, how about Lancaster County District Development updates?
Well, the biggest update would be that the roundabout opened for a couple of days. You can still use it. But I just put in there the information that the city of Hickman communicated is that the culvert for the future pedestrian crossing under 68 with the new roundabout that is built, that is now closed. And we are being detoured once again, but they put a map that I attached to the board agenda, and they are saying that it will be closed for 60 days. So that's just where we're at with roundabout, and
What are the overs on that?
depends on if you get on the city of Hickman's Facebook page. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
Hopefully the weather cooperates.
Great. Okay. Buildings and grounds.
Yep, just a couple of updates. One, thanks for our custodial crew over break. Our big project was to install new carpet in middle school office. So they got everything out. Carpet was installed and everything put back in. Looks great. Also over break, we had a company come in and look at all of our basketball hoops and bleachers to inspect for compliance and safety. We had some initial work that was done on the spot, but we'll get a written report from the company. And we'll go through a priority process on what it all the work that is going to get done and the timeline to do that. The old 60-inch zero-turn mower in the old activities trailer have officially been sold. We used a sealed bid process for that and had a lot of interest in both of those. And then to start the semester, just to give a highlight, assistant principals, Jan and I met with the entire transportation department. We met in the auditorium. We went through celebrations from first semester. We reviewed bus discipline, just kind of everything, and gave an opportunity for our transportation department to give some feedback. And we had some great conversation, and we're going to meet at the end of the quarter. And then we'll meet at the end of the year, just so we make sure that we're all on the same page. And it was great conversation and something that we should probably do more often.
Yeah, great.
Questions on that? Board strategic plan goals, board areas of focus.
Indeed, Derek. We talked about action plan 3.7 earlier and moving forward with the website.
Yeah, under goal number 1, decision-making for staffing, as we shared with the last update, we've met with each of the buildings and departments to talk about staffing requests for next year. Those are under review, and we will build a priority, and all based on budget, which we can forecast what next year is going to look like. The hiring process, so I have submitted a rough draft for a certified hiring process to the ESU6, who has an HR expert who is going to help kind of go through that with me and make sure that we have everything that we need in that. Once we have collaborated on that, I'll share that with the building administrative team. Talked about 3.7. And then the only other update I would have is under goal number 2. And that is we have continued to work with under goal 3, we've continued to work with our student support committee that we put together. I added the definitions we came up with diversity, equity, inclusion. And at the next meeting, we'll look at what the perceived threats of the definitions and develop the steps for the now what. So I don't know if Rhonda has any updates from that.
No, just looking forward to the next meeting.
I am too.
And then 2.7, we're still gathering some information from other districts. One district that we're looking at is Ashland Greenwood, just did a bond issue and implemented additional classrooms for their preschool. So that I'm gathering some information from them on what the average cost was for a classroom. We got back what it costs to get the furniture. We do not have what supplies. So we'll put all that together, and then also looking at, I'm working with Jan on what it would cost for additional bus routes and the cost of bus if we would expand that preschool program like to an all-day, or what it would look like if we started to add classrooms for our preschool program. So hopefully by next board meeting, I'll have some of that.
And then as far as action plan 1.3, which is talking about looking at different options for the staff development model, that committee has finally been set. So we solicited volunteers and then worked with the building administrators to also get suggestions, and the meeting date is being set for that. As far as action plan 1.4, we continue to have Scott Ekman and Heidi Farmer coming to support our district. And this month in particular, Scott's going to come out to observe specific MTSS building level meetings to give us feedback. And then we have a big district meeting in February to kind of talk through that. And then the last one is action plan 1.5, which is the wellness component. So we are continuing to have our wellness group meet, and we will continue to identify initiatives and how to best coordinate services for that. And part of that is if you see on the January 16th professional development time, there's a whole section of sessions that are offered that are directly aligned to supporting staff wellness.
Any questions?
Well, I would just add that today, as I was eating lunch here, several teachers were talking about, I wish we had some kind of a step program or something like that to get us motivated. Now's a good time, it's January, so that's coming, so that's good. I
Yeah.
can hear it.
Okay, how about board reports? You have anything to add for board report? Correspondence items? No correspondence item this month? Okay. Pardon?
I was getting click happy. You said no board reports. I went to adjournment, sorry.
Well, I think we're at that point in the meeting.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard, Sharon. Looking forward to this next year. And with that, we'll adjourn the meeting.
We have cookies at 9 o'clock for everybody out there if you like it. It's a good little snack before bread.
Yeah. No, thank you for coming. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool to come. I didn't realize that, but